Hello everyone, welcome to free crash course for competitive exams held by VIRAT Hindustan Sangham in association with Manifest IAS Bengaluru. So this program is inspired by Dr. Subramanian Swamy and it was started on 28th of January. Okay, this program is convened by Sri Ravishankar, Educational Convener for VHS Karnataka branch and also President of Good Neighbors India NGO. Okay, I am the chief mentor of your program. So I have been mentoring civil service aspirants for past 5 years. Okay, you can watch this program online. You can watch this program online on the YouTube channel of VIRAT Hindustan Sangham and also the YouTube channel of Udaya News Karnataka. So here is the link. You can join our Telegram channel, VHS Education Forum Telegram channel for free mentoring. You will be provided complete mentoring for your competitive exams. If you have any doubts, you can ask there. So here is the timetable of the program. We are done with polity. So history is being done now. So another one week history will be completed. So you can join our Telegram channel. I am repeating it again. VHS Education Forum. Here's the link and also the QR code. So what to expect out of these classes? Veterans, senior aspirants can use this as a revision course, whereas freshers can use this to get a gist or hold of the syllabus and as well as to clear the concepts for the exams they are supposed to study. Okay, so today we'll talk about militant national revolutionary activities. Revolutionary activities. Okay, so first phase of revolutionary activity. First phase of revolutionary activity. So it starts from 1907. So revolutionary means what? Revolutionary means which involves violence. It is different from extremist. Extremist is just extreme ideas. They are not. They don't carry out revolutionary activity, that is violent activity, that is they don't kill people, whereas revolutionary activity, it is aimed at violence. They use guns, weapons and assassinate the British officials. So why the surge? So the Indian national movement earlier was largely non-violent, however now revolutionary heroism starts. So this extremism, what we yesterday thought about, militant nationalism gave rise to revolutionary nationalism, revolutionary activity. So it is a byproduct of militant nationalism. Okay, so why the surge of revolutionary activity? Why did violence occur, or why did violence start in our nationalism? So after the decline of open movement, so in yesterday I told by 1908, Swadeshi movement, open phase of the Swadeshi movement ended. Swadeshi movement ended by 1908. However, the youth of India were disappointed. The youth were disappointed. They wanted actually results. So, however, there was no result in 1908. It was a kind of moral defeat. So this youth were disappointed. So they wanted to give way to their patriotic energies. They had lot of energy to contribute to the national service. They choose, instead of, there was no open movement. Open movement was over. Open movement is your Swadeshi movement. That movement was over. So instead they choose revolutionary activity. It is based on individual heroism. Individual heroism. So individual heroism means individually they go and display their heroism or patriotism and kill British people. Okay. So the revolutionary program, what is the revolutionary program? What program did they take? So they actually tried to create a mass violent revolution. They actually wanted more people support, whereas moderates did not depend on people. These revolutionaries wanted all the people of India to participate in a revolutionary activity. All Indians should become violent and kick out the British. So this was the program. This was the program that was thought about by whom? By the revolutionary activists. They thought about this kind of a program. So where did they get inspiration from? Russian nihilists. So in Russia there will be one section called nihilists. They were violent. They use violent methods. Along with this Russian nihilist, there is Irish nationalist. Ireland, in Ireland, there will be Irish nationalists. They also will be using violence against the colonial powers. So they were inspired by those organizations. Okay, so they wanted to kill unpopular officials. British, as we discussed earlier, they displayed racial arrogance. They treated Indians very badly. So those unpopular officials who actually treated Indians badly, those people would be assassinated. That was the program of revolutionary activists. So also they conducted dacoits. So they, in order to fund their program, they conducted dacoity. So they looted the British money. Okay. So the aim was to make the government fear. Make the government fear. They wanted to government ge hedrisbekagitu. So they wanted the government to fear them. That is why they carried out this program. So by fearing government na hedrisi, generally government ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಇರೋ ಭಯವನ್ನ ನಿರ್ಮೂಲನೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು. That is why these revolutionary activities tried to perform individual heroism. Okay, so a survey of revolutionary activities. So where all revolutionary activity took place? So major revolutionary center was, as usual, as expected, it is Bengal. Bengal was the nerve center of Indian nationalism. Indian nationalism ge preraka, poshaka ಮತ್ತೆ ತಾಯಿ ಸ್ವರೂಪದಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದು ಬೆಂಗಾಲ್ ಪ್ರಾಂತ್ಯ. ಬೆಂಗಾಲ್ ಪ್ರಾಂತ್ಯದಿಂದನೇ ಭಾರತೀಯ ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರೀಯತೆ ಹುಟ್ಟಿದ್ದು. So there initially what happens, Calcutta student community, the student community among the Calcutta, they had many secret societies, just like societies in your college, they had secret societies. They used to discuss these extremist ideas. They used to discuss these violent ideas. So one of that such secret committee is your Anushilan Samiti. It was very important. Anushilan Samiti was founded by Pramoda Mittar, Jatindranath Banerjee and Barindra Kumar Ghosh. Pramoda Mittar, Jatindranath Banerjee and Barindra Kumar Ghosh. Okay. So there actually the activity was limited. They were just conducting physical training. They were giving physical training. That is, they were imparting exercises, physical exercises. They were just teaching physical exercises. No other work was there. However, within Anushilan Samiti, a group called Yugantar group emerges. This group actually carries out the revolutionary terrorist activities. They carry out the revolutionary activities. So here one conference takes place. So with of the revolutionary activities, the revolutionary activity conference is Barisal Conference. So the conference takes place in Barisal. There they discuss these revolutionary ideas. Okay. So here what happens? Many revolutionaries, that is a group within the within your Anushilan Samiti, they carry out the program to all over India. devoted all over India support. So they carry out the program to various areas, Punjab and many other areas. So they try to kill this within the Anushilan Samiti. There is Yugantar group. This Yugantar group tried to kill many British officials. So they also tried to derail the train. So one famous British person who was actually hating Indians, who was not good to Indians, who was actually bad to Indian administration, he will be traveling in a train. So that train will be tried to derail. They try to derail the train. Train anna urudisodike prayatnavana ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. Next, they throw a bomb. They throw a bomb at a carriage. So on the carriage. So carriage means it is something similar to a bus. So in the carriage, English judge would be traveling. So they throw a bomb at that carriage. That is one thing. Next, here the most important thing is Alipur conspiracy case. Alipur conspiracy case, also called Maniktolla bomb conspiracy. So here, so they try to actually, it is a conspiracy means they try to overthrow the British na virodha ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂತ ಒಂದು conspiracy, ಒಂದು ಯೋಜನೆಯನ್ನು ಹಾಕಿರ್ತಾರೆ. So that is called Alipur conspiracy case, very famous conspiracy case. Okay, so similarly there will be lot of revolutionary activity. Many British officials were killed. Many they looted the British money. So many such activities take place. Bomb attacks takes place. So and also in 1912 when the Viceroy in 1912 Lord Hardinge was traveling, they throw a bomb at, these revolutionaries throw a bomb at the Viceroy. That is also important. So along with this, we have Delhi conspiracy case. Delhi conspiracy is where upon Hardinge, they throw the bomb. Delhi conspiracy case. So here what happens in the Bengal, west side Bengal had western. So Anushilan Samiti was divided into west and east. So western side had what? Western Anushilan Samiti, which was headed by Jatindranath Banerjee, also called as Baga Jatin. Okay, here this Yugantar party, I told you, this Yugantar party is famous for one plan called Zimmerman Plan. So in this Zimmerman plan, what is this Zimmerman Plan? Means during World War I, First World War, these revolutionaries, they try to import arms, import gun and other things from Germany. Why Germany? Because Germany would be opposed to England in First World War. So they try to import arms and ammunition from Germany. So, and also they carry out many dacoities. So they carry out along with Zimmerman Plan plus dacoities. Lot of dacoities take place during World War I. Okay, so this Zimmerman Plan, also called as German plot, got failed. Why did it fail? Because someone within the revolutionary group, someone would do treachery, ನಂಬಿಕೆ ದ್ರೋಹನ ಮಾಡಿ ಈ ಪ್ಲಾನ್ ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ ಬ್ರಿಟಿಷ್ ಅವರಿಗೆ. So this plan fails. Okay, so here Baga Jatin gets killed. So some of the journals of revolutionary are Sandhya Yugantar in Bengal and Kal in Maharashtra. Sandhya and Yugantar in Bengal and Kal in Maharashtra. Kal. So these are very important journals. Okay. So here the revolutionary activity, actually the drawback is it depended on individual heroism. It did not depend on people's movement. It depended on individual heroism. This was the drawback. Okay. So let us move to Maharashtra. So what was the revolutionary activity in Maharashtra? Here one force is there. That force name is Ramosi Peasant Force. So during tribal revolts, we discussed in the Western Ghats Ramosi revolt. So this is different. That was in the 19th century. So this is in 20th century. In 20th century, Ramosi Peasant Force by Vasudev Balwant Phadke. Vasudev Balwant Phadke organizes this Ramosi Peasant Force. They try to instigate a armed revolt. Armed revolt. Armed revolt means ಬ್ರಿಟಿಷರ ವಿರುದ್ಧ ಸಶಸ್ತ್ರ ಬಂಡಾಯ. ಸಶಸ್ತ್ರ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಶಸ್ತ್ರಗಳಿಂದ ಬಂಡಾಯ ಹೂಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು. ಸೊ ಹಿಯರ್ Tilak is a very important leader when it comes to revolutionary activity. So here he organized Ganapati and Shivaji festivals. Ganapati and Shivaji festivals, what you see in Bombay today, it was started by Bal Gangadhar Tilak. So he has two journals. He starts. One journal name is Kesari, another journal name is Maratha. So this Maratha is a English, Kesari is a Marathi journal. Kesari is a Marathi journal, Maratha is a English journal. Okay. So the journals' names are important. So here one organization is important. So this Veer Savarkar organizes Mitra Mela, just like Anushilan Samiti, when Mitra Mela gets organized. One more society is, so this Mitra Mela merges with some bigger organization called Abhinav Bharat. Abhinav Bharat is the organization in Maharashtra. Abhinav Bharat. Okay. So many British officials will be killed by this revolutionaries. So the British punished these revolutionaries. Savarkar will be sent to Andaman. He would be sent to Andaman jail. Next, Punjab. What happens in Punjab? Punjab, why revolutionary activity takes place means huge revenue, huge tax collection by the British. So even during famine, ಬರಗಾಲದಲ್ಲೂ ಕಂದಾಯವನ್ನು ಕಟ್ಟಿಸ್ಕೊಂತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. That is why this revolutionary activity starts. So here most important people are Lala Lajpat Rai and Ajit Singh. Ajit Singh, who is Ajit Singh? Bhagat Singh's uncle. So Bhagat Singh uncle, Ajit Singh and Lala Lajpat Rai are the important people. So here journal name is, so here the organization name is Anjuman I Mohibban I Watan. Anjuman I Mohibban I Watan is the organization in Punjab. So okay, it is with respect to non-payment of. So they urge the people not to pay that high tax. So high taxes will be there. These organizations says don't pay the tax to government. Okay. So the journal name is Patrike name is Bharat Mata. Okay. So here one important revolution is there. So revolutionary activities abroad, not only within India, outside India also revolutionary activities took place. What are the revolutionary activities outside India? Gadar movement. So there is a movie by name of Gadar by whom? Sunny Deol. So this is not that Gadar. This Gadar is a revolutionary activity. Revolutionary terrorism. So what is this Gadar? So what happens is abroad, where all revolutionary activities will be there is, so in England, Shyamji Krishnavarma, he would have set up Shyamji Krishnavarma in England would have set up India House. So in this India House, radical youth from India would go there and study. Whoever youth went to England to study, among them whoever were radical, they used to get associated with this India House. It is a radical society, radical associated with revolutionary activities. That is non-violence. So the journal name is, in England, journal name is Indian Sociologist. Here what happens? One person, Madan Lal Dhingra assassinates a person, assassinate a British official. So after which England, this Indian society gets closed. So in Paris, the organization is headed by Madam Bikaji Kama in Paris. So here the journal name is Bande Mataram, not Vande Mataram, Bande, B, Bande Mataram. So the most important is Gadar. Gadar, it happens in Canada and United States of America. Canada and United States of America. Gadar is actually a newspaper. It is a newspaper in East Coast. So USA has two coasts. So if this is USA, this is Atlantic Ocean, this is Pacific Ocean. So this is the West Coast. This is West Coast. This is East Coast. Okay. So what happens is in the West Coast, the revolutionary activity in San Francisco, here is San Francisco, there the revolutionary activity takes place. So who are the people? Soldiers from British Indian Army who would have gone there and settled. They would be the people who actually start this Gadar movement. Gadar movement, it spans across Canada and USA, both these countries, right? Okay. So it is actually by whom? Former soldiers, ex-soldiers. So here, what happens in Seattle, where is Seattle? Seattle in United States, they start one organization. Organization name is Swadesh Sevak Home. Swadesh Sevak Home or a United. So Swadesh Sevak Home gets started in Canada, Vancouver in Canada. Swadesh Sevak Home gets started in Seattle. They start United India House. Okay. So Gadar gets established in 1913. So this program aims at assassinating unpopular officials. So whoever British, who were actually bad, who were actually against the Indians, who were actually doing lot of corruption, who practiced racial discrimination, those kind of officials, they tried to assassinate, kill. Okay. So important leaders were Lala Hardayal, Bhai Parmanand, Baba Ramchandra, Barkatullah. So these are the most important leaders. So here one incident happens, Komagata Maru incident. Komagata Maru. Recently, your Canada Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, so he apologized for this Komagata Maru incident. Komagata Maru, what is Komagata Maru? It is a ship. Komagata Maru is a ship. So this ship from India, it goes to Singapore. From Singapore, it takes the Indians and it goes to Canada. So what happens is, in Canada actually will be under the control of British. So this Canada government doesn't allow so at that time there was no provision of passport, visa and all those things. So these people who on this ship, Indians who were on the ship, were not allowed to get into Canada. They were not allowed to step down or depart or alight at the Canada. They did not allow to get out of the ship at Canada. So what happens? This Komagata Maru ship would be sent back to India. It would be sent back to India by Canada government. So what happens? In this ship comes to West Bengal. So here the people would refuse to get down from the ship, and refuse to go to their hometown, Punjab. So during there a fight takes place between the police and the people of the ship, and 22 people get killed. So because of all this, during the First World War, this happens during First World War, Gadar movement starts. So what they plan? They plan to launch a nationwide violent attack. ಭಾರತದಾದ್ಯಂತ ಒಂದು ಹಿಂಸಾತ್ಮಕ ಚಳುವಳಿಯನ್ನ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. Nationwide violent attack. Okay. So many people come to India from Canada and USA to participate in this, and they also loot the British money. So what happens here? Here also this plan gets leaked. the Ghadar plan gets leaked and the British suppress the Ghadar movement. How do they suppress? They suppress it with many rules. The most important rule is Defense of India Act and Defense of India rules. Defense of India Act and Defense of India rules. So here what happens, many people would be arrested and the courts give lot of punishment. So many people would be hanged. Totally 45 of them will be hanged. So like this movement gets down, suppressed by the, this movement ends because of the British suppression. Okay, so not only, so what is the evaluation? What is the outcome of Ghadar? Ghadar actually was a secular movement. There was no Hindu-Muslim enmity. We have Barkatullah is there, Baba Ramchandra is there. By the name only you can see Hindus and Muslims both were participating in this. Okay, so they actually failed because of no good leadership, no proper planning, no proper organization, all those things. Apart from the revolutionary activities in USA, we have revolutionary activities in Europe also. Europe, what is the revolutionary activity? Here, Berlin Committee. The committee name is important. Berlin Committee by Virendranath Chattopadhyay. Virendranath Chattopadhyay. He actually supports would have supported the Zimmerman Plan. I already told what is Zimmerman Plan. So he would have supported the Zimmerman Plan. So he actually he brings out a journal. The journal name is Talwar. Talwar is the journal name. Okay, so in this Europe also lot of revolutionary activities. Revolutionaries actually support India independence even from Europe. So who are the people in Europe? Actually prisoners of war. Prisoners of war. So what is prisoner of war? Suppose you are an Indian soldier. Suppose you are a British soldier. You fight against Germany. Germany captures you. Germany captures you and sends you to jail. So then you become a prisoner of war. So these prisoners of war, Indian prisoners of war, join the revolutionary activity against British in Europe. Not only here, even in Singapore, mutiny takes place. Even in Singapore. So Singapore, actually the most famous is when our Subhash Chandra Bose goes there. So decline. How did this movement decline? Why did this movement decline? Majorly because of treachery. There was no unity among the revolutionaries, and also British bring up many suppressive laws. Many suppressive laws would be brought, because of which the movement declines. Okay. So First World War, and next we will talk about First World War and nationalist response. First World War and nationalist response. You know when does the First World War happens? 1914 to 1918. First World War happens between 1914 to 1918. So what is the response? So actually what happens? Moderates support the First World War. So, they support. So whereas the extremists, so the extremists also support the war, because so moderates support because they consider it a duty. Extremists support, thinking that British would actually after the war give freedom to India. They think after a war, British would give freedom to India. Next, the revolutionaries, 3 sections. So the third section, revolutionaries don't support the war. They want to launch a violent attack. Use the opportunity of war and attack the British. So these were the 3 views. Okay. So they think, these revolutionaries think that this is a good opportunity, because many British soldiers would be involved in war. So they think that since British soldiers are involved in war, we can attack the British easily. So only revolutionaries think like that. So here Home Rule League is important. So this is the Home Rule League movement. This is the Indian response to First World War. So actually revolutionaries, very minority section, major response is Home Rule League. This is the India's response to First World War. So who were the prominent leaders of Home Rule League? Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Annie Besant, Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Who is Muhammad Ali Jinnah? Father of Pakistan. Father of Pakistan. Okay. So what happens? They want to, this Home Rule League actually is inspired by Irish Home Rule League. Ireland will also have Home Rule League. So inspired by that, they start a Home Rule League in India. What is Home Rule? Home Rule means ಸ್ವಂತ ಆಡಳಿತ ಬೇರೆಯವರ ಆಡಳಿತ ಅಲ್ಲ. It is our own rule. Home means our own rule, not by foreign. Okay. So factors leading to the movement. Why did this movement start? So actually what happens, so some nationalists, ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರೀಯತಾವಾದಿಗಳು, they think that popular pressure was necessary. So popular pressure means public pressure should be put on the British in order to get concessions. Okay, next, moderates think that they were actually saddened. They felt depressed by the Morley-Montagu reforms. When this come 1909. So Morley-Montagu reforms, this moderates felt actually this reform is bad. They would be depressed by that, and also people were also facing lot of difficulties. What difficulties? War time, there was lot of price hike, inflation, and also high taxation. So and also here what happens, these colonies, these British Germany, Axis powers and Allied powers, they try to fight one another. Why do they fight? Because they wanted to capture more and more colonies and extend their imperialism. This is the factors leading to the movement. Next, the leagues. Actually there are 2 leagues which are set up. 2 leagues. What are the 2 leagues? Okay. So what happens, actually after Surat split, yesterday I discussed, 1907 moderates and extremists split. So after this split, actually 1914 this Annie Besant tries to, 1914 Bal Gangadhar Tilak also gets released from Myanmar prison. So he also tries to get into Congress, moderate and extremist patch up. However, 1914 this patch up doesn't work. So in 1915 what happens, Annie Besant launched a movement. She launched a campaign demanding for self government. ಸ್ವಂತ ಆಡಳಿತಕ್ಕನ್ನ ಬೇಡಿಕೆ ಇಟ್ಟು ಆನಿ ಬಿಸೆಂಟ್ ರವರು ಒಂದು ಕ್ಯಾಂಪೇನ್ ಅನ್ನ ಶುರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. Okay, so through newspapers, her newspapers, what are her newspapers? Name is important. New India and Commonweal. New India and Commonweal. Wheel, W-E-A-L. So these are the 2 newspapers. Okay. So in 1915 what happens? 1915 this moderates and extremists gets patched up. The extremists were allowed to get into moderates. They were allowed to get into Congress. They totally become one Congress. Okay. So here the Congress actually in the annual session they commit themselves to educative propaganda. What do you mean by educative propaganda? To educate the people in politics against the British. That was taken up by Congress. Okay. So here 2 leagues get set up. One league is headed by Annie Besant, another league is headed by Bal Gangadhar Tilak. 2 leagues get set up, 2 home rule leagues. Tilak's league, Bal Gangadhar Tilak's league was confined to Maharashtra, Karnataka, central provinces and Virat. central provinces, today's Madhya Pradesh. So only 4 places Tilak's League was there, whereas Annie Besant League was headquarter in Madras. It had all over India presence. Okay, what is the Home Rule League program? So it demanded for self-government. Home rule, self-government. They demand the self-government. So what happens? They try to mobilize the people. Mobilize the people means to bring people into nationalism in backward areas. Many backward areas. Suppose today's Hyderabad, Karnataka, similarly, those kind of backward areas did not have any political mobilization. People did not know about nationalism. They did not know that British were oppressing them. They try to mobilize the people who home rule activists. So what they do, they publish their propaganda through newspapers, pamphlets, posters, postcards, songs, and many other things. So here what happens? Motilal Nehru, Jawaharlal Nehru, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, many people and many moderate section get into Home Rule League. Even some people from Gokhale's Servants of India Society. Yesterday I discussed Servants of India Society. Those people also join the Home Rule League. So government's attitude. What is the attitude of government towards home rule? Do they support it or do they oppose it? So government actually opposes the home rule movement. It actually opposes the home rule movement. So what the government does? Students were not allowed to join the Home Rule League. Students were prohibited from joining the Home Rule League. Okay. So after this, Tilak was arrested. Annie Besant was also arrested. Because of these two arrests, there would be nationwide protest. Many people across the nation protest against these arrests. Okay. So after which the government releases them. So later on the movement fades out. The movement decreases by 1919. Why did the movement fail? So the movement decreased because there was no good organization. There were communal riots. Hindu-Muslim riots were there, because of which this home rule movement failed. And also so the moderates actually went out of Home Rule League. The moderates did not continue in the Home Rule League. That is also a reason. And also the Montagu-Chelmsford reforms, 1919 Montagu-Chelmsford reforms comes, and the moderates think that it is a good reforms are coming, so we should not support the home rule. That is why they walk out. Along with that, by this time Gandhi would have entered Indian political scene. Gandhi would have come on Indian political scene. So positive gains. What are the gains of Home Rule League? So it actually, earlier what used to happen, it was only the upper section of society who were national, who had national program, whereas Home Rule League attracted the normal people, common people were brought into Indian nationalism. That is one of the positive gain. So they created a organizational link. So earlier national movement was confined to big cities, Bombay, Calcutta, Madras. So what happens after this Home Rule League? Even villages come into the national movement. Okay. So it created good nationalists. So many national leaders were contributed by Home Rule League. So it prepared the masses for Gandhian style of politics. It prepared Gandhian style based on mass movement. Gandhian style is mass movement based on support of people. So it created the platform for mass movement, Gandhian style movement. So these are some of the positive gains of Home Rule League. Next, we will talk about Lucknow session of INC. Very important. Why Lucknow session is important? Actually, though in 1915 Congress Congress decides to admit the extremists into Congress. However, actual admission happens in actual rapprochement, that is bonding of moderates and extremists actually happens in this session, 1916 session, readmission of extremists to Congress. So here, who was the president? So it was the president by Ambika Charan Majumdar. So he was the president. So the Congress, these extremists were brought into the Congress fold. They were joined back to the Congress. Okay, why did they join? So actually they realized that united we stand, divided we fall. So they realized that if we get divided, British will oppress us. So that is why that they would have understood, and also Annie Besant would have done a lot of work to bring the extremists back into the Congress. So because of many of these reasons, Congress, this extremists were allowed into Congress. Lucknow Pact between Congress and Muslim League. This pact is important because your partition, India-Pakistan partition, origin can be traced back to here. Why? So Lucknow Pact, what happens? Muslim League and Congress come together. Muslim League would have got established somewhere in 1906 by Nawab Salimullah of Dhaka during partition of Bengal. So they actually they and Congress come together against the British. Though Muslim League was supported by British, later Muslim League separates from British and they come together with Congress during the Lucknow session. Why did this Lucknow Pact take place? Because British actually Turkey, there is this country called Turkey. What happens in Turkey? There will be one Khalifa. Khalifa is the religious leader of Muslim. So what happens in the war? So this Turkey war with Italy, British wouldn't have supported Turkey. British don't support the Turkey. So this Khalifa would be in Turkey. So this angers the Muslim League because for them religion is more important than nation. So what happens? The British doesn't support Turkey, because of which this Muslim League actually opposes the British government in India. So that is one of the reasons. Next, annulment of partition. Initially, Muslim League Muslims were given what? Their own Bengal. East Bengal was given to them. Later on, Bengal was taken away from them. Bengal was annulment. Partition of Bengal was cancelled when 1911. This makes them angry, and also the young league members. So Muslim League now has young members. Young members don't support the British. They were educated people. They who don't support the British. Why do they don't support the British? Because they were inspired by modern ideas like self-government and many other things. Okay, so what was the nature of the pact? Nature of the Lucknow Pact. Lucknow Pact, very, very important. Okay, so the League and Congress try to, in this Lucknow Pact, the Muslim League and Congress, they come together and they agree to present common demands to the government. Earlier they were demanding separate demands. Now they agree to present common demands to the government. So here one blunder was done by Congress. So in 1909, these Muslims were given separate electorate. What is separate electorate? I have discussed in polity section. So separate electorate means only if if 100 seats are there, suppose 50 seats are reserved for separate electorate. In this, suppose if the separate electorate is for Muslims, only Muslim candidates can contest. no other candidates can contest, no Hindus, no Sikhs, and also only Muslim people can vote. No other people can vote for such candidates. This is separate electorate. So this separate electorate was given to Muslims in 1909 Morley Minto reforms. This was accepted. This was accepted by Congress in 1916 Lucknow Pact. This is the blunder. So this is the blunder. What was the demand? Muslim League Congress joint demand. One is self-government. Second is representative government. What is representative government? So people are represented by leaders, by elected leaders. That is representative government. And the term of legislative council, Vidhana Parishad. So that council term should be expanded to 5 years. That is also a demand. So what are the criticism about the Lucknow Pact? What is the criticism about Lucknow Pact? So here the one is the this Lucknow Pact because it gave rise to Hindu-Muslim separate identity. Hindu-Muslim separate identity. So this is the major criticism of Lucknow Pact. Okay. Next, we will talk about Montego Statement. Montego Statement of 1917. What is this Montego Statement? In this Montego would be what? He would be the Viceroy of India. So he makes a statement. What is this statement? So why this statement in first place? Because of Lucknow Pact. Lucknow Pact and Lucknow session, the British get careful and think that this Congress and Muslim League together will oppose the British. So they give some concessions to Indians. Concession in the August Declaration. This Montego Statement is also called August Declaration 1917. What do they say? They say the British government intends to increase Indian participation in the government. More number of Indians would be taken into the government gradually. That is the first statement. And gradually they would give responsible government. Responsible government means people elected by the leaders elected by the people would rule. So today we have representative government. We elect the MLAs and MPs who in turn rule us. So similarly, this representative government was promised by the British in this statement. Okay. So here, until now what used to happen? If the Indians demanded self-government or representative government, British used to oppose them, jail them. Now British themselves told that we are going to give self-government. So this is a major change. So why Indians object this? There are many objections to this. What are the major objections? So there was no specific time frame. No specific time frame means the Britain would not tell within this time, within these many years, we are going to give you representative government or responsible government. They just promise, but they don't give a proper time. That is the major criticism, objection. Era of mass nationalism. Next, era of mass nationalism begins 1919 to 39. Here the most important person, Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi. Okay, so Gandhiji, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. So he was born in Gujarat. Afterwards, for his legal practice, he goes to England. He comes back to India, and due to some case, he goes to Africa and stays there for some 15 years. And there he does so many political activities. Africa is where Gandhiji gets famous before coming to India. So why national resurgence now? 1919, when your what? First World War ends. First World War ends. So why nationalists want to fight the British now, exactly when 1919? Why in this year Indians want to fight the British? Why? Because post-war economic hardships. So due to war, there will be lot of price rise. Lot of price rise will be there. So all the commodities prices would be increased. That is the first reason. And Indians contributed men. So many Indian soldiers fought on behalf of British, and also India gave lot of money to British in the war. However, Indians did not get anything back. They got only price rise and oppression by the British. Okay. So many industries got closed down due to price rise and inflation. Many industries got closed down and there was no foreign investment. There was increasing foreign investment. Foreign investment increased. Domestic industries closed. Domestic industries, local industries. Workers and artisans, they faced unemployment. Workers did not have employment. Peasantry, peasants means Raitru, they had high taxation. Even during war, there was no concession, high taxation. They were also angry. Soldiers found India to be poor. When they came back, they found that India had become more poorer than when they left. They left before 1914 for World War I, and when they came back in 1919, they found India to be poor. So that was also a reason. Next, there was a lot of educated urban classes. Educated urban classes were there. They also, educated urban class, they also actually fight the British. Okay. No expectations of British gains for cooperation in war. Political gains for cooperation in the war. So, since Indians, moderates cooperated, even extremists cooperated the British in the war. So, cooperated means they supported the war, right? So, what they think is, because we have supported, Britain would give us freedom or some major concession. However, no concession was given. No concession was given. Even though many Indian soldiers died because fighting war for British, no political changes in India. Next, national disillusionment with imperialism worldwide. So, what happens is, in the First World War, many countries fight. So, you have two kinds of powers, Allied powers and Axis powers. So, Allied powers, Axis powers is your Germany, Japan, Italy. So, Italy during Second World War, not during First World War. Okay. So, and Hungary, Austria-Hungary. So, what happens? And Allied powers, your Britain, France, USA. So, they fight that, saying that these countries are not democratic. These countries fight the Axis powers, saying they are not democratic. So, we want to promote democracy. But after democracy, Prajaprabhutva. So, after the First World War, what these countries do means, instead of promoting democracy, what they do is, wherever these countries, colonies were there. So, these countries were also having colonies at many places. Colonies means India was a British colony. Likewise, South Africa was British colony. Indonesia was Dutch colony. Netherlands colony. So, likewise, many colonies were there. So, these countries go on to take over these countries, lost countries colonies, and divide it among themselves. So, instead of promoting freedom and democracy, they take over more and more colonies, because of which nationalists, Indian nationalists actually feel bad. They feel bad, saying that these British would never give us freedom. They would be interested only in colonial exploitation. So they would be interested only in exploiting the colonial countries. So impact of along with this, impact of Russian Revolution in world history, you will study Russian Revolution. Two revolutions. One is February Revolution. Next is October Revolution. So during these revolutions, what happens? The people overthrow the king. People come together and overthrow the king. King name is Tsar. CZAR or TSAR. Tsar. So these people come together and overthrow the king. So this actually influences Indians, saying that if the people can overthrow the king in Russia, why can't we overthrow the British? Why can't we overthrow the British? So this also influences. So Montagu Chelmsford's Reforms and Government of India Act. So this act, Montagu Chelmsford Reforms, Government of India Act 1919, I have discussed in detail in polity. You can watch the polity section. So what are the main features? I am going to briefly say. One is diarchy. Diarchy means two type of governments. So in the state government, in the provinces, diarchy get included. Provinces means in British had many provinces. Bengal province was there, Bombay province was there, Madras province was there. So in these provinces was headed by governor. So here diarchy gets introduced. Diarchy means certain today we have many ministries, right? So we have road ministry, finance ministry, transport ministry, agriculture ministry, fishery ministry. So certain ministries would be directly ruled by the governor. Certain ministries would be governed by ministers, elected ministers. Certain areas by the governor directly, British governor, whereas certain other areas by ministers elected by Indians. So this type of two type of rule, diarchy, is called diarchy. And also so in this diarchy, two areas. One is reserve list and transfer list. So reserved list was ruled by governor. Transferred list was ruled by whom? Ministers. So this is the difference. The ministers were responsible to legislature. So responsible government was introduced. Responsible government, already told you. So leaders are responsible to the people. Okay. So next we have, what are the legislative features? Legislative features. So provincial legislatures, provincial Vidhana Parishad, seats were increased. The number of seats were increased. Women were given right to vote. So also the budget, which was earlier not votable, was made votable. Budget could be voted. Budget could be voted by the Legislative Council. Okay. So what are the certain other features? Central government features. So till now we spoke about legislative features at provincial and central level. Now executive features, executive government features. What are the features? So in the state level, provincial level, at the central level, Governor General was the main person at the central level. Okay. So two types of list for administration. So today we have union list and state list. Similarly, 1990 Act gives central list and provincial list. Central list, many subjects. Like fisheries, atomic energy, air transport and space technology. Many of these things are under central list. And state list, you have law and order, police, and land records, agriculture, everything under state list. So similarly, there was central list and state list in the 1919 Act. That was central and provincial list were introduced. Along with that, the Governor General exercised control over provincial government. So here central government is there. Central government by Governor General, that is Viceroy, and state governments by whom? State governments by Governor. Even though headed by Governor, Governor General can exercise influence on the provinces. That is one of the measure. So likewise, you can go through the features of the Montagu-Chelmsford reform. So what are the drawbacks? The franchisee was very limited. Franchisee voting power was very limited. Okay. Next, legislature had no control over Viceroy. So Central Legislative Council, Viceroy cannot exercise. Today, Prime Minister is controlled by whom? Parliament. However, back then, Governor General was not controlled by the legislature. Back then, Parliament did not have any power. These are certain drawbacks. You can go and look at the detailed drawbacks in the book. And also some other drawbacks: division of subjects. Central list, state list, division of subject was not good. Division of subject was not proper. Okay. So some of the drawbacks. Okay. Next, we will talk about Congress reaction. So how does the Congress react? Congress say that this is a unworthy act, unworthy and disappointing act. They dismiss the act. They say that we demanded self-government, you are giving us something else. Okay. Next, we will talk about the most important person of India till today, Mahatma Gandhi, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. Right? So making of Gandhi. So early career and experiments with truth in South Africa. What was Gandhiji's career in South Africa? So Gandhiji was born in Kathiawar, Porbandar. His father was a Diwan, Porbandar's Diwan, minister, right? So he goes to England for practicing, learning law. He comes back to India and goes to South Africa to face a case, practice a case. Okay. So here what happens? In South Africa, against Indians, there will be lot of racial discrimination. South Africa, British people, so majorly British people were actually abusing Indians. They were treating Indians very badly. Okay. And also the Indians, they were very illiterate, poor and illiterate people. They did not know English. Okay. So they did not have right to vote. And they were allowed to reside in very small areas, very specific areas. They could not come and live in every area. So these were some of the conditions. And the Indians in South Africa could not travel outside after 9 p.m. After 9 p.m. they cannot travel outside. So these were some of the bad conditions of Indians in South Africa. So there are two phases of struggle. First phase is moderate phase, 1894 to 1906. 1894 to 1906, Gandhiji does moderate phase of struggle. So Gandhiji thinks that British were actually good people. They don't know the ground realities. Vastavikate avarige gottilla. That's why we have to inform them and take benefits. So he writes lot of petitions to British, but none of them work out. So in order to take care of Indian needs, to help the Indians, he set up one farm. So this farm means something like an ashram. So So this form is called Natal Indian Congress. Natal Indian Congress. Name is important. Natal Indian Congress, and he starts Indian Opinion newspaper. Indian Opinion newspaper. So that is the moderate phase. Second phase, extremist phase, 1906 to 1914, extremist phase. So here Gandhiji launches Satyagraha. Gandhiji launches Satyagraha or passive resistance. Passive resistance, civil disobedience and Satyagraha. Satyagraha means what? So Satya means truth. Agraha. So arguing in favor of truth means Satyagraha. Passive resistance, I have already discussed yesterday. Passive resistance means not active. Passive. They are not following the rules of government or picketing. Okay. So these are, and opposing the government in a legitimate way. So not, even though not legal way, legitimate way. There is a difference between legal way and legitimate way. Like blocking of railways, blocking of roads. So, and these are some of the passive resistance means. Civil disobedience. Civil disobedience means disobedience to law, not paying taxes, not following the rules. So those are the civil disobedience. Satyagraha against registration certificates. Satyagraha against registration certificate is the first Satyagraha. So what happens? Indians in South Africa actually had to carry a registration certificate. Suppose you are an Indian in South Africa, you would be given a registration certificate, something like an Aadhaar, and wherever you go, you should carry that registration certificate. If you don't carry that registration certificate, if the police find you, they will jail you. So this was not applicable to English people. So Gandhiji thinks that this is discriminatory, right? We are being discriminated against. Why not English? Why only to Indians? So he launches a Satyagraha. So what he does, he did not register himself. He did not get a registration certificate himself. So when they were forced to register, what Gandhiji does, he burns down the registration certificate in public. He burns the registration certificate. This is passive resistance. Burning of foreign cloth is also passive resistance. So Gandhiji burns the registration certificate. Okay. Next, campaign against restriction on Indian migration. If suppose this is South Africa, Indians were restricted from going from one province to other province. So against this also Gandhiji launches a campaign. Okay, next, campaign against poll tax and invalidation of Indian marriages. Okay, poll tax means what? So many Indians who had expired visa, who had their visa expired, so they were imposed with poll tax, like a punishment fee, 3 pounds. Sorry, how much is the poll tax? 3 pounds. 3 pounds is too much money for poor Indians. So whoever were overstaying, whoever were illegally staying in South Africa were fined with 3 pounds of poll tax. So Gandhiji opposed this. Along with that, there comes a rule which says that if you are not married according to Christian customs, if you don't marry, man and woman don't marry according to Christian rituals, then that marriage is invalid. Such a marriage is invalid. So it says that, so because of this, what happens? Hindu marriages and Muslim marriages were considered illegal. So this is also a discriminatory measure. Against this also Gandhiji launches a movement. So here, apart from the natal form, Gandhiji also starts one more form. Form means ashram, FARM, Tolstoy Farm. Tolstoy Farm founded in 1910. Tolstoy Farm founded in 1910. Why Tolstoy Farm? Because many Gandhiji had a band of supporters. So in order to give them houses, he started this ashram. He started this ashram. So before this, the Natal farm is called Phoenix Farm. First, Phoenix Farm in Natal. Second, Tolstoy Farm. Okay. So here the self-help was practiced. That is, no laborers were employed. Every work was divided among the ashramites, and they were living like a community. So there was also education for children, and also manual work was encouraged. Manual work, sweeping, scavenging, cleaning, all these acts were encouraged. Next, we have protest against Transvaal Immigration Act. So there is a province called Transvaal. So Indians were prohibited from going to Transvaal region. That was also opposed. What Indians do? They forcefully enter Transvaal. Okay. So because of all this, the South African government gets bad name. The government gets bad name, and there is a compromise. And Indians reap lot of benefits. So the leader Gandhiji emerges successful. Okay. Next, Gandhiji's experience in South Africa. What is Gandhiji's experience in South Africa? So he found that people had a lot of energy. That is why he is called a mass leader. So along with that, he was able to unite Indians, Muslims, Hindus. Both of them supported Gandhiji. That was his strength. Okay. So he had its own style of leadership. He did not follow any others. His style of leadership was unique. He had its own style of leadership. Okay. Gandhi's technique of Satyagraha. How does Satyagraha happen? So he gives certain rules. So this was inspired by, Gandhiji would have been inspired for Satyagraha actually from Christianity, Christian principles, right? That is, if you are hit on one cheek, you should show other cheek. So this was the principle. So certain principles he gives for Satyagrahis. So the Satyagrahi would always be truthful. He would always be truthful and non-violent. Satyagrahi would be non-violent and always remain truthful and also fearless. So, and also the Satyagrahi withdraws the cooperation with the government. Withdraws the cooperation means during normal times, citizens cooperate with the government, right? Government forms a rule and citizens follow them. But in resistance, Satyagrahis, what do? They withdraw the cooperation with government. That is the principle of Satyagraha. And also, Satyagraha includes non-payment of taxes. And also Satyagraha includes accepting suffering. If they are beaten, you should be ready to get beaten. If you are jailed, you should be ready to go to jail. And also, whenever you are opposing, you should not hate your enemy. You should love your enemy. These are certain rules given by Gandhiji for Satyagraha. So Gandhiji in Satyagraha. So Gandhiji in India. Gandhiji came to India in January 1915. This date is called as today Pravasi Bharatiya Divas, January 9th. Okay. So his effort in South Africa would be well known in India. He would be lot famous in India. So actually initially he does not support the, so when Gandhiji comes, actually in India what would be happening? Home rule movement would be happening. Gandhiji doesn't support the Home Rule movement. He doesn't support the Home Rule movement, saying that Britain is in war. Britain is involved in war. So during war, we cannot launch a Home Rule movement. So that was Gandhiji's notion. Next, most important, Champaran Satyagraha, 1917. Champaran Satyagraha. This is the first civil disobedience. Civil Nagarika. Disobedience, not following the law. So that is not following the civil laws, government laws. Okay. So what is this Champaran Satyagraha? In Champaran, there would be, so this Champaran is a place in Bihar. In Champaran is a place in Bihar. Here what used to be happening? There used to grow a plant called indigo plant. Indigo plant, which has violet color. So your cloth, earlier now you have synthetic dyes, artificial dyes. Earlier dyes were, that is color for cloth was obtained from crops. So violet color was obtained from indigo. So this indigo plant was grown in Bihar. So they used to practice, the British used to practice, British planters. British planters. Planters means plantation owners. Plantation owners used to follow Teen Katiya system. This system is important. Teen Katiya. What do you mean by Teen Katiya? If they grow 20 amount of crop, 20 kg of crop, 3 kg should go to planters. 3 kg should go to planters. So, and also there was high rent, too much rent, and also illegal dues were extracted. Lot of money were extracted by the peasants, by the farmers. So Gandhiji goes to Champaran. Gandhiji goes to Champaran, and he would be asked to get out from there by the British. However, he says, I won't go. This is my country. So he actually court's arrest. Court's arrest means he gets ready to get arrested. So Gandhiji, what does he do? So because of Gandhiji makes a inquiry. Gandhiji makes an inquiry and finds that this system is exploitative. It is exploiting poor people, and he government forms a committee, and Gandhiji becomes a member of that committee. Gandhiji becomes a member of that committee, and here what happens? This committee says that whatever extra money taken by plantation owners, they should return 25% of the money to the farmers. This was the verdict given by the committee. So this was a moral victory, because none of them challenged British authority till now. There is a first time challenge to British authority, right? So within 10 years after Champaran, all the planters get out of the Bihar. They vacate the plantations and go to England. So this is the first success of Gandhiji in India. Champaran in Bihar. Okay. So next, Ahmedabad mill strike. 1918, first hunger strike. Gandhiji was able to fast for 25 days. However, we can't even fast for 1 day, right? So that is why he is called Mahatma. So here what happens? Ahmedabad would be affected by plague. So that time plague was a prominent disease. So what happens during plague? These plantation workers. So this mill. So mill means cotton mill, right? In the mill gives to workers plague bonus, extra money. So after plague gets over, the plague bonus would be stopped. However, the workers oppose this stopping of plague bonus, saying that the prices have increased. This plague bonus would help us to survive. If you stop the bonus, we don't have any place to go. we don't have any place to go. So they demand a 50% rise in wages. That is, if they are giving paid 100 rupees, they demand 150 rupees salary. So this was opposed by the mill owners. Okay. So because of which Gandhiji, because of this, the workers went on strike. They went on strike. So Gandhiji, what does he do? He takes the side of workers, and asks them to strike. Okay. They demand, Gandhiji asks the workers to demand 35%. Instead of 50%, you demand 35% hike in wage. This was suggested by Gandhiji. So Gandhiji says, you should remain non-violent. You should remain non-violent while protesting. So here what happens? To strengthen the workers' resolve. ಅವರನ್ನ ಮೋಟಿವೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ವರ್ಕರ್ಸ್ ನ ಗಾಂಧೀಜಿ ಉಪವಾಸ ಸತ್ಯಾಗ್ರಹವನ್ನ ಹೂಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಫಾಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂಟು ಡೆತ್, ಸಾವಿನವರೆಗೆ ಉಪವಾಸವನ್ನ ಹೂಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ this puts a lot of pressure on mill owners, and mill owners agree to give 35% wage hike. 35% wage hike. Okay. So this is the second major strike. Next, Kheda Satyagraha. This Kheda, where is it? It is in Gujarat. First non-cooperation, first Asahakara Chaluvali. Okay. So this happens in 1918. What is the issue? So there drought. So Bargala irutte illi Khedadalli. So 1918 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬರಗಾಲ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. There will be revenue code. So ಕಂದಾಯದ ಒಂದು ಕೋಡ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. That says ಇದು produce ಅಂದ್ರೆ production. If the production is less than 1/4 day, ನೀವು ಪ್ರತಿ ವರ್ಷ 100 kg ಗ್ರೋ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ರೆ, ಸಪೋಸ್ ಈ ವರ್ಷ ಬರಗಾಲದಿಂದ ಬರೀ 25 kg ಗಿಂತ ಕೆಳಗೇನಾರು ನೀವು ಗ್ರೋ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕಂದಾಯವನ್ನ ಮಾಫಿ ಮಾಡ್ಲಾಗ್ತದೆ ಅಂತ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ರೂಲ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. However, despite being the produce being less than 25%, the revenue code would not be followed, and British demand full revenue, full tax. Okay, so if the taxes were not paid, the land would be seized. Land would be taken over by the government. So Gandhiji comes and says to the farmers, don't pay the taxes. Let the government do whatever they want. Don't pay the taxes. So actually here the major person, it was not more than Gandhiji, it was Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, who was the leader of this movement, Kheda Satyagraha. So they organized the revolt, and also it was actually many people, it was a disciplined movement. Many people follow the rules laid down by the leaders. So what happens? They do not pay the taxes. They revolt. They don't cooperate with the government. They revolt against the government. So whenever government used to seize the land, ಅವರ ನೆಲವನ್ನ ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಳ್ಳೋಕೆ ಹೋದಾಗ they protest. Whoever goes to buys the farmer land, they protest against such buyers. So lot of pressure would be created. And if suppose a poor farmer's land is being auctioned, ಹರಾಜ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರೆ, if someone goes to buy that poor farmer's land, he would be socially orchestrated. Socially orchestrated means ಸಾಮಾಜಿಕವಾಗಿ ಅವರನ್ನ ಬಹಿಷ್ಕಾರ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು. So it is a kind of protest. So because of all this, the government suspended tax for 1 year. Because of all this, the government suspended tax for 1 year. Okay. And also returned all the confiscated property. ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ನೆಲವನ್ನ ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಂಡಿದ್ರು ಅದನ್ನ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. Okay. So what are the gains from these three movements? What are the gains? So it showed that Gandhiji's technique is useful, Satyagraha is useful, and second gain, Gandhiji becomes famous among the public. So next we will talk about the Rowlatt Satyagraha. Rowlatt Satyagraha, Jalian Wala Bagh massacre, Jalian Wala Bagh Kaggole. So Rowlatt Satyagraha, Rowlatt Act. So what is this Rowlatt Act? So Defense of India rules. Defense of India rules na matte. So in 1919, when Second World War gets over, Indians expect concessions from the British. Indians expect British would give some good laws to Indians. They would give self-government to Indians. In turn, what they do, they bring in Defense of India Act. When first time, when do they use it? Defense of India Act against the revolutionary terrorists, right? Revolutionaries. So revolutionaries, Lala Hardayal, Sachin Sanyal, Lala Hardayal. So against Bhagat Jatin, against them, they would have used Defense of India Act. It is a repressive act in order to curb revolutionary activities. That act was re-promulgated. It actually gives, this Defense of India Act gives excessive power to government. So they can arrest anyone, they can kill anyone. So that was this act. This act was actually bought again. This act was actually re-enacted. Even though there was no protest, there was no revolutionary activity, this act was bought about by the British government. Okay. So what does this act do? This act allows political activists to be tried without juries. Political activities can be tried without juries. Judgment kodadene political activities, those who oppose the British could be sent to jail without going through judge. So without going through law courts, they can be jailed. That is one provision. So many Indians were arrested without warrant, no warrant required for arrest under this act. Under this act, even the law of habeas corpus I have discussed in polity. That is, if some person goes missing, if he is under the custody of the police, if you go and file habeas corpus in the court, that person should be produced in front of the court. That is habeas corpus. Okay. Even that gets suspended. And freedom of speech. No freedom of speech. Yaradru government viruddha matadre avrana jail ge haakta idru. So all these things actually gets re-enacted. So against this Gandhiji launches Satyagraha against Rowlatt Act. First mass strike. So when the Indians were expecting concessions because they supported the war, Indians were expecting what? British would help them, whereas they got Rowlatt Act. Gandhiji felt very bad. He says the Rowlatt Act as Black Act. Kappu Kanunu anta karitare. Anda Kanunu. Okay. So Gandhiji called for a mass protest all over India. We have to protest against this act. Even he roped in Muslims were also asked to participate. There was nationwide hartal. Hartal means strike. Nationwide hartal. Okay. So the masses found a new direction. So the masses started acting upon Gandhiji's words. Okay. So even the peasants, artisan, poor, rich, rural, urban, everybody participated under the Rowlatt Act. So the movement was to be launched. So April 6 was the date when this movement had to be launched. However, what happens in Bombay, Calcutta, Delhi, there will be lot of protests. Lot of protests would be there. So what happens at this time, there one incident happens called Jalian Wala Bagh massacre. Where does this happen? In Amritsar, Punjab. Okay. So because of the violence, so during Rowlatt Act, after Rowlatt Act, there will be protest, right? There will be lot of violence by the government. So Indians protest against this government violence, and this shops and everything would be shut down. Schools, shops and everything would be shut down as a protest against British. So what happens? The protest meetings. So the British impose ban. They impose a curfew saying that no protest meetings should be held. No protest meetings should be held. Okay. So against this, what they do? People turn out. People defy the ban and they come to protest. They come to protest and police do firing. Police do firing and 2 people. How many people get killed? So some of the people get killed. Okay. So and in turn the public attack the British. So there will be lot of fight between Indians and British. Okay. So immediately your the British sends army. Your Reginald Dyer, he goes there and imposes martial law. Martial law means military ಕಾನೂನನ್ನ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಕ್ತಾನೆ. So in this martial law there will be curfew. Okay. So in this curfew, no large crowd should assemble. No more than 5 people should assemble anta rule irutte, and nobody should get out of the city anta innond rule irutte. So higirbekkare on the day of Baisakhi is a very big festival, just like our Shankranti in Punjab. So in ಸುತ್ತಮುತ್ತಲಿನ ಹಳ್ಳಿಯವರು ಈ ರೀತಿ ಒಂದು ಮಾರ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಕಾನೂನು ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲದೆ they come to the Amritsar, this Jalian Wala Bagh. It is like a ground. So 20,000 ginta ಹೆಚ್ಚು people they came to the Jalian Wala Bagh. So these people don't know that there is military rule there. Military rule is there in Jalian Wala Bagh anta they would not be knowing. Suddenly this General Reginald Dyer, General Dyer gets to know about this assembly of people. He immediately comes to the place with his troops. So if this is the Jalian Wala Bagh, there will be only one entrance. All the entrances, there will be no other entrance. So what happens? People would be assembled here. So this Reginald Dyer enters and he blocks this exit. And he orders its troops to fire. So he gives the order to fire. Okay. So even women, children, everybody gets killed. So Congress say, British say that so many people get killed. Unfortunately, British say so 379 people were killed. However, Congress said more than 1,100 people were killed. Okay. So and also martial law gets imposed all over Punjab. After this incident, martial law, which was confined to Amritsar, gets imposed all over Punjab. Martial law would be imposed and people would be tortured by the British. So the entire country gets stunned by this British attitude. Immediately Rabindranath Tagore renounces his knighthood. What is knighthood? Knighthood, if you get knighthood, you can put sir in front of your name. So who is our Vishweshwaraya? He has received knighthood. That is why we call him Sir M. Vishweshwaraya, because knighthood given by British. So he returns the knighthood. Gandhiji returns the Kaisar-e-Hind. So he would be given one award by the British called Kaisar-i-Hind. So that award Gandhiji returns. So Gandhiji says this is a satanic regime. This British government is shaitan. This British government is shaitan. Okay. So after this, there will be one committee. Committee would be established. So during this Jalian Wala Bagh incident, actually the person who orders to fire is General Reginald Dyer. He was in the place. However, Punjab, in the province of Punjab, who would be the governor? Governor is a different person. It would be Michael O. Dyer. Don't confuse. Michael O. Dyer is the governor. Reginald Dyer is the army person. So Michael O. Dyer would be killed by whom? Your Udham Singh. Udham Singh kills the Michael O. Dyer in, there is a movie recently. So he kills the Michael O. Dyer in Britain. Next, one committee gets established. This committee is called Hunter Committee. Hunter is the chairman. So this committee's official name is Disorders Inquiry Committee. Disorders Inquiry Committee. Okay. So many people would be participated in the committee. Indians were also there. This committee makes extensive inquiry. So this committee calls Reginald Dyer to come in front of the committee. So this Dyer says that he just did his duty. Yeah, I wanted to suppress the Indians. That is why I killed all of them. That is the statement given by Dyer. So because of Dyer's statement, members in the committee, they themselves there will be lot of fight in the committee. So they say that this person is very, very dangerous. This Reginald Dyer is very, very dangerous person. He should be removed from the army. So the committee says that Dyer should be removed from the army. Okay. So they gave a report. They gave a report called a Hunter Committee report. Okay. So this report was reviewed by Churchill, and Dyer was removed from the army. So this much if you know about the Hunter Committee, it is more than sufficient. Next, Congress view about the Jalian Wala Bagh. So Congress has its own committee to look into Jalian Wala Bagh. Gandhiji would be member of that committee. Right. Okay. So next we will talk about the non-cooperation movement and Khilafat Andolan and non-cooperation movement. Non-cooperation movement 1921. Non-cooperation means asahakara. British rondige ನಾವು ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀತಿಯ ಸಹಕಾರವನ್ನ ಕೊಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕಿಲ್ಲ. So that is the non-cooperation movement. So but for both this movement, non-cooperation movement and Khilafat Andolan, the reasons were different, but the goals were similar. Though the reasons were different, the goals were similar. Okay. So what is the background of this movement? So the economic situation was alarming. There was lot of price rise. Price rise was high. So the people were suffering. One more reason, Rowlatt Act is also one reason. Jalian Wala Bagh is also one reason, and also your Hunter Committee report was criticized. They said Reginald Dyer should be jailed and hanged, but no, it was not done. Actually, in Britain, he receives British people's sympathy. British people give 30,000 pounds to Reginald Dyer. So this was also a reason. It shows that British are anti-Indians. Next, Montagu-Chelmsford reforms. The Montagu-Chelmsford reforms were also bad. That was also opposed. Okay. So During First World War, before this, see here Hindus and Muslims come together in the non-cooperation movement. So here, why do they come together? One is Lucknow Pact. Lucknow Pact, Muslim League and Congress comes together. Rowlatt Act also, because of Rowlatt Act also, the Muslims and Hindus come together. Khilafat issue, what is this? Khilafat issue, I already told, for them religion is more important than nation, right? Okay, so this Khilafat issue paved the way for consolidation of emergence of radical national trend among the Muslims. So it is a radical nationalist trend among the Muslims. Radical, extremist, national means patriotic, national patriotic movement among the Muslims. What is this issue? So again, as I said, the Muslims all over the world regarded Khalifa of Turkey as their spiritual head, right? So what happens after the First World War? Turkey was defeated. Turkey was dismembered. That is, Turkey was taken over by all other countries, and the Khalifa was thrown out. Khalifa was thrown out by Britain. This angers the Indian Muslims. This angers the Indian Muslims. They demand that Muslim Khalifa control should be restored. Khalifa's control should be restored, and Khalifa should be left with sufficient territories. However, so that was the demand. Next, development of Khilafat non-cooperation movement. Khilafat non-cooperation movement. So here what happens? Initially, the Khilafat leaders were following moderate approach: petition, prayer, protest. However, later they established All India Khilafat Conference. All India Khilafat Conference, and they call for boycott of British goods. Boycott of British goods. So Gandhiji, what does he do? He over this Khilafat issue, he thinks that is Gandhiji who thinks that we can bring together this movement and these two movement and seal the Hindu-Muslim unity. This was the intention of Gandhiji. So Congress stand on Khilafat question. So the Congress actually it was divided. Tilak did not support it. Tilak says that Bal Gangadhar Tilak, we cannot unite with the Muslims on a religious issue. Muslims are fighting for their own religion, whereas we are fighting for nation. We are fighting for nation. So there was actually opposition to Gandhiji's proposal. However, Gandhiji was very adamant. Gandhiji said that this is a golden opportunity for us to cement Hindu-Muslim ties. To cement, that is, to bring together Hindus and Muslims. So next, the Congress was losing faith in constitutional struggle. So constitutional struggle. So there are certain sections of Congress actually did not support this extremist movement. Gandhiji, initially a moderate, later a extremist. So non-cooperation movement is a kind of extremist movement, and certain sections of Congress did not support it. So however, Gandhiji was adamant. So but Muslim League supports the Congress. Because finally Congress decides to support Khilafat movement. So here comes the non-cooperation Khilafat movement. How did this movement progress? So 1920, what happens? Hindu-Muslim deputation, Hindu-Muslim committee. So Hindu-Muslim deputation would be sent to the Viceroy, saying that whatever mistakes you have done in Rowlatt Act and Jalian Wala Bagh, you should repair it. you should repair it, repair the grievances of Indians. However, it was declined. Whatever the mistakes done by British that should be repaired was the demand of the committee in 1920. That was declared. That was declined by the British. So in 1920, what after that was declined, they gave call for boycott of schools, colleges. They gave call for boycott of schools, colleges and law courts. 1920 August, they give call for non-cooperation movement. August, they start the non-cooperation movement. So what is the program? Boycott of schools and colleges, boycott of law courts, no attending the law courts, and also boycott of legislative council, Vidhana Parishatanna boycott madadu. Next, boycott of foreign clothes, instead use khadi, and also renounce government titles, government awards should be written. This is the broad program. So 1920 December, one more session happens, Nagpur session, very very important. Nagpur session, December 1920. So here the non-cooperation movement was endorsed. Congress supports the non-cooperation movement, and also here one change happens. Earlier Congress says that we will attain self-government. Through constitutional means. Here this constitutional means legal means given by the government. They now say that we are going to attain freedom by legitimate means. We can go non-constitutional also, but that will be legitimate, humanly right. Okay. This was the change. So here the Congress forms your Congress Working Committee. Today the political party has Congress Working Committee that was started during the non-cooperation movement, and also they start Provincial Congress Committee. Here spread of the movement. How did this movement spread? All across the India. So in Gandhiji toured the entire India. Gandhiji toured. There were many students who left the schools and colleges. Law courts were boycotted. National schools were started. So instead of government school, national schools were started, and many lawyers did not go to courts, and foreign clothes were burnt. Publicly. Picketing happened. I already told what is picketing. Next, Tilak Swaraj Fund. They set up a Tilak Swaraj Fund, and Congress Volunteer Corps. So this is a alternative police that was set up, and also civil disobedience was started. Not all India, civil disobedience at the local level. Civil disobedience means at the local level people were asked to not follow the law at the local levels. Okay. So there were many strikes across the India. Assam, there was strike. Assam Bengal railway strike was there. And many revolts. Mappila revolt, Eka movement, Awadh Kisan Sabha, many things. So I'm going to discuss those later on in people's resistance. In tribal, in agrarian movements. Next, people's response. Middle class was the middle class actually did not participate. Initially they participated, but later they did not participate. They did not like Gandhi's program. Okay. Business class supported the program. Actually, the major support to this program came by the peasants. Raitru asahakara ಚಳುವಳಿಯನ್ನ support ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು. So peasants participation was massive. Lower and upper caste, everybody participated. Next, students participated a lot. Students participation was huge. Women participated a lot. Women gave money. They sold their ornaments and gave money to the movement. There was tremendous Hindu-Muslim unity. Tremendous Hindu-Muslim unity was witnessed. Okay, tremendous Hindu-Muslim unity was witnessed. What is the government response? Government response to the this movement. Okay, so the government arrested everybody. So volunteer cops were banned. The alternative police CVC was banned. Next, along with that, public meetings were banned. Public meetings were banned. Okay, every leader was arrested. Most of the leaders were arrested. Most of the leaders were arrested. So the last, why did this movement end? Last phase of the movement. Okay, so here many people asked Gandhiji to start civil disobedience program. So non-cooperation movement is different from civil disobedience. Non-cooperation, just don't cooperate with the government. So just don't cooperate with the government. Don't you just don't follow the rules, right? You burn the British goods. You don't allow you don't participate in schools, you don't participate in colleges, you don't participate in law courts, you don't participate in legislative councils. This is basically non-cooperation. Whereas civil disobedience means don't follow the law, don't pay taxes, actively oppose the British, actively oppose the British. So Congress asked Gandhiji to start civil disobedience, but before that one incident happens called Chauri Chaura incident. Chauri Chaura incident happens in when? In 1922. So Chauri Chaura is a place in Uttar Pradesh, Gorakhpur. Here what happens? Here police would have fired against the protesters. Police had beaten up a few people, few volunteers would be beaten up by the police and they would have fired over certain people. So what the people do? They torch the police station, they burn the police station and kill almost 22 policemen. 22 policemen get killed. So immediately after this, Gandhiji stops the movement because he did not want so this is a violent movement, right? Chauri Chaura is a violent movement. So immediately after this, Gandhiji calls off the movement. He says that non-cooperation movement ends. He asked the public to, instead of this, you focus on constructive work like popularization of Khadi, work for Hindu-Muslim unity and many other things. However, there was lot of opposition to Gandhiji stopping this movement. Many people scold Gandhiji because why did you stop the movement? So here, why did Gandhiji stop the movement? So the major reason is, if Gandhiji did not stop the movement, this movement would have become violent. This movement would have become violent. When the movement becomes violent, what do British do? They suppress it. That is why Gandhiji called it off. Next, one more reason is, any national movement, any mass movement is not long sustained. That is, it cannot go on forever. The energy of masses will be only limited. The energy of masses would be only limited. That is also a reason. And also Khilafat question is also solved. So Khilafat question would be solved. What happens in this in Turkey, what happens? You study it in your international relations. One person called Mustafa Kemal Pasha. Mustafa Kemal Pasha of Turkey. He himself becomes the ruler, and he abolishes the Khilafat. He abolishes the post of Khalifa. So this entire question becomes irrelevant. So because of all these three reasons, the movement was withdrawn. Evaluation of Khilafat non-cooperation movement. So here many Muslims were bought into the politics, national politics. That is one of the positive. Okay, and this movement challenged the British for the first time in a very big way. They challenged the British. Next, we will talk about the post non-cooperation movement. Emergence of Swarajist, socialist ideas, revolutionary activities, and new forces. Swarajist and no changes. This happens after non-cooperation movement. Please remember, Swarajists come after non-cooperation movement in the 1920s. 1920s ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ತಾರೆ ಇವರು. Okay. So here what happens after the withdrawal of the movement, the Congress, within the Congress there will be fight. And they form a Swarajist party. Who forms the Swarajist party? Okay. Gandhiji gets arrested in 1922. Gandhiji gets arrested, and the Congress organization becomes weak. So here there will be two sections. One section, C.R. Das, Chittaranjan Das, Motilal Nehru, they wanted to enter legislative council during non-cooperation movement. They would have boycotted the legislative council, right? They would have boycotted the legislative council, right? So they would have boycotted the legislative council. Okay. So what happens after NCM ends? These people, Chittaranjan Das and Motilal Nehru, they again want to enter the legislative council. Legislative council means what? It is just like today's parliament. They wanted to enter the parliament and use that legislative council to fight the British. So these people who wanted to enter the legislative council were called as Swarajists. They were called as Swarajists. Who wanted to enter the legislative council was Swarajists. So on the other hand, we had no changers. No changers are the people who did not want to enter the legislative councils because they thought legislative council is a British council. We should not enter this. So these people are Rajgopalachari, Vallabhbhai Patel, Rajendra Prasad. These people came to be known as no changers. Instead, they said we should concentrate on constructive work. Constructive work means what? Promoting cleanliness, promoting Hindu-Muslim unity, promoting national education. All those work we should promote. Anta no changes say. So what happens? These people start the Swarajist party. The party is called Congress Khilafat Swarajist Party. Congress Khilafat Swarajist Party. Okay. Next, Swarajists say, why do the Swarajists want to go to the council? They say that we will fight the British in the council. We will not fight them outside. We go to the council. In the council, we will shout. We will create ruckus. So that is their idea. And since there is no popular movement, no national movement is there, what should we do? Sitting silent. So we can use legislative council. So no changers say if you go to council, British would use you. British would use you. You would become corrupt. You would become corrupt. Rather, we should focus on constructive work. So what happens here also? The Congress comes to the verge of breaking, just like 1907 in the Congress split. Here also Congress comes to the verge of breaking into two. Okay, the Congress also comes to the verge of breaking into two. So what happened? The Swarajist and Congress. Gandhiji enters now. Gandhiji enters now and says no division. He does a compromise between both of them and says that Swarajist can fight election and get into the council. By fighting election only you get into the council, right? So Gandhiji allows the Swarajist to enter council. So Swarajist build a manifesto. Swarajist build a manifesto. What is this manifesto for election? So they say that basically the manifesto says that British rule is oppressing India. British rule is oppressing India. They are ruling India in their self-interest, and whatever the reforms that are given by British, it is actually making Indians more poor and subservient. ಅವರನ್ನ ಇನ್ನೂ ದಬ್ಬಾಳಿಕೆ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. So the Swarajis say that we want self-government. We want self-government. Okay. Gandhiji says, so Gandhiji, what is Gandhiji's attitude about Swarajist manifesto? He says, we cannot oppose the Swarajist directly. If we oppose the Swarajist, Congress would be divided again. So this Swarajist actually win election. So out of 141 seats, the Swarajist win 42 seats. Okay, Swarajist activity in the council. What is the activity of Swarajist in the council? So actually Swarajist position also later on weaken. They also become weak. Why do they become weak? Swarajist means Swarajist in legislative council are similar to today's MLAs and MPs. So what happens is there will be lot of communal riots, Hindu-Muslim riots, because of which Swarajist being in council cannot stop it. So their position becomes weak. And also within Swarajist, two sections emerge. Within Swarajist, responsivists and non-responsivists. So within Swarajist, they also get divided on Hindu-Muslim line. This is called as responsivists and non-responsivists. Two divisions. Okay, so the Swarajists lose the support of many Muslims. So responsivists, Lala Lajpat Rai, Madan Mohan Malviya, these were Hindu people, responsivists, and there was non-responsivist as well. Okay, so later on, because of the weakness of party, they withdraw. They withdrew from legislature. They resigned from the legislature. Once they become weak, they resign. They resign from the legislative council. So what are the achievements of Swarajists? So they made powerful speeches in the legislative council. They made very powerful speeches, and they elected Vittalbhai Patel as the speaker. First Indian speaker, Vittalbhai Patel, 1925. First Indian speaker, Vittalbhai Patel. Okay. Next, they passed many bills. Public safety bill was opposed. Public safety bill aimed at opposing the socialist was opposed. They filled the political vacuum after NCM, non-cooperation movement. There was no major activity. So during that, they did lot of good work, and also they opposed the Montfort reforms, Montego-Chelmsford reforms, 1919, whatever was the deficiencies, that was opposed. That was opposed by the people. What are the drawbacks? Drawbacks of Swarajist. Drawbacks: they did not have a single policy. Just they were creating ruckus in the parliament. I mean, in the legislative council, they did not have any proper policy, and they did not have link with the masses. They did not have link with the common people. That was one of the drawback. Next, they were given to corruption. The legislative council had lot of powers and perks. They were given to corruption. So that was also there. Next, constructive work of no changes. No changes who did not attend the assembly. They did lot of good work. One is ashrams. They built many ashrams. National schools were built. They worked for Hindu-Muslim unity. They worked, and also during flood and other things, they did lot of good work. Okay. Okay. Emergence of new forces, socialist ideas, youth power, trade unionism, spread of Marxist and socialist ideas. So what is this socialist philosophy? Socialist ideas. So earlier there was Gandhian philosophy. Gandhian philosophy was based on truth and non-violence. Whereas this socialist philosophy had international influence. It came from outside. So what is this Marxist and socialist ideas? Idea of Karl Marx. Karl Marx idea is the influencing point. Okay. So there were many socialist leaders within Congress. The socialist leaders were Jawaharlal Nehru, Subhash Chandra Bose. These people were inspired by Soviet revolution. They were against Gandhian ideas. So these people, they were young people. The socialists were young people. In example, Subhash Chandra Bose and Jawaharlal Nehru. They did not like both Swarajist and no changers. Instead of council entry or constructive work, they advocated we should fight the British directly. Why should we stop the movement? This was the third front. So they demanded Purna Swarajya. They demanded no self-government and all. We want complete independence. Okay. So they had international influence. These people had influenced by international ideas. That is socialism. Okay. So they had economic ideas as well. Socialism is economic idea, that is equality of all. They opposed capitalists. Upper classes, rich people were opposed. Okay. So in 1920, Communist Party of India gets established. 1920, Communist Party of India gets established. So many important communists, S.A. Dange, Muzaffar Ahmad, Shaukat Usmani are the main communists. So here, when it comes to communists, this idea, Meerut conspiracy case is important. Under this conspiracy, many communist leaders would be jailed. Activism of Indian youth. So these youths actually actively participated in this in the socialist ideas. They actively pursued these social ideas. They were influenced by Jawaharlal Nehru. Next, peasants agitation, peasants also. So peasants wanted lower rents. They were against the tenancy laws, tenancy rent laws. They were against. They wanted low rents, and also they wanted protection from eviction. When they did not pay the rent, they were thrown out of the land. They opposed that. That was also demand of the peasants. So these peasant ideas, agitations were supported by the socialists. These peasant agitations were supported by the socialists. Next, growth of trade unionism. Trade unionism also grew. They found All India Trade Union Congress 1920. 1920 All India Trade Union Congress gets established. So we are going to end the class here. Tomorrow we will take up the rest of the ideas. Hope you found the class very useful. Please make good use of it, and please take good care of your health. Take care. Jai Hind. Namaste.